We're back.
You motherfucker. I'm gonna admin and mute you.
Blessed with a championship prosperity the likes of which we have never seen. Cursed by a past riddled with despair. This is Blursed.
Oof. Are you guys ready?
Welcome back. I'm so ready.
Welcome back to Blursed, everybody. We hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Today is Tuesday, November 29th. I am your host, Hayden Cummins, and I'm joined by my friends Blake and Aaron. Blake, I did mute you. I'm going to unmute you now.
You're welcome, Dylan.
You can hop in. What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
What's up, fellas? Glad to be back.
Blake, do you want to explain why you were muted to start the episode?
Because we're back. Because I wanted to do that, and you wouldn't let me. But now I did. So unless you edited it out, it's in there. What's up, Dylan?
Wow.
I'm going to have to fix that in post just for Dylan. Dylan,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He makes my teeth itchy as well. We're working on it.
We're doing the ASMR. I thought we were changing up a little bit.
Goodness.
We took a high break.
I don't think ASMR is your niche there, Blake.
No.
Well, someone somewhere out there likes that. Maybe.
Well, you keep trying to find
send
it.
the fan mail in if that's
Yeah.
if that's you. Let us know. Give us a like.
It's not in our current business model, but if everybody lets us know, we can get into ASMR.
Yeah, we'll do our Twitch every day. I can be a full-time job.
How you guys doing? Did you have good Thanksgiving?
Yes. Yeah, it was a busy time, but it was good seeing family, eating some good food. What about you guys?
Absolutely, man. I had a great time. Pretty exhausted. We were just nonstop. I don't know, when you go visit family during the holidays, when you get there, there's not much time to like relax, even though it is the holidays.
Right.
So you get back and just exhausted. I don't know if it's the same for you, Hayden, but for us, like we were nonstop the whole time in Phoenix.
Yes. I've developed a travel strategy that is you have to build in at least one buffer day between when you travel and when you start working.
Mhm.
This time we built in like a full weekend, so we had like a 3-day weekend
Sick.
essentially with how it worked out. So, but you guys saw family and ate food
Oh yeah, we did both of
Indeed.
those things.
for Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It was
Haven't-
yeah.
We
I haven't heard
spatchcocked
of
the
that
turkey
before.
and we
Yeah.
smoked it.
Oh,
Yeah.
smoked turkey.
You did what to that turkey?
Spatchcocked.
Oh,
Where you cut it open and put it like this, where
we're
the
trying not to
That's right.
curse as much.
I love
but-
badminton.
There it is.
yes,
All right.
yes, that's what I said.
Let's do this.
Blurst of the week.
All right, well, I'll start this time
Do
because
it.
I want to. My blurst of the week is going to be the NFC South. And the reason I say that is because
God.
I think if the Bucks, like the team they should like that we all thought they were going to be, could just win a couple of games that they're losing instead, because they've lost so many games they should have won. Like the Falcons could finally move on to Ritter and we could stop watching Mariota and we could be playing for a pick. Like, because we all understand that, like, yeah, we're not a horrible team, but we're not good. We're just that
No.
in between where we can make playoffs, but only because our division's bad, not because we're good
Right.
enough to. And so it's just
No.
aggravating. Like when I saw the Bucks win or lose on Sunday, I was so pissed off after we lost. Like, because if we win, I'm okay with them losing, but we lose too. So it just puts us right in this perpetual.
I think you win already. Aaron and I can say our blurst of the week, but that's spot on. I mean,
Yeah, that
how
one was great.
frustrating. It's like I need to see what Arthur Smith actually had to say after that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see like his presser from like today's practice, just to see. It's like, oh well, we're a competitive team. We're in the playoff race. Yeah, because it's fucking handed to you. But
Right, exactly.
I think he knows that though. Like, what do you say as the coach then? Like that, I don't know. We'll get into it when we get into the Falcons, because I do have a lot to say just about the NFL in general too.
Sheesh. All
Guys,
right.
you're muted.
Uh-oh.
He's going on a roll right there, but maybe he's talking to someone else.
No, nope. Sorry. I had muted myself to cough, but then forgot to unmute. Yeah. Classic. But no, okay. So we can, Hayden, you want to go next? Or you want me to pop it?
I'll go next.
Classic.
So my blurst of the week is because of how fucked up college football has gotten in the past week to 2 weeks. UGA can lose the SEC championship and still make the college football playoff, but Alabama has a outside chance to make it, which we thought was done and over. And that is probably the one team I don't want to see. Michigan looked good, but after us dismantling them last year, I'm not really. It doesn't hit the same as
No.
Alabama because we've been there so many times, and that's just not what
Ohio
I'd rather
State's
see anyone else.
Ohio State's also a soft team. Like, they're just not tough. Like, Michigan's the toughest team in their conference, which is why they beat the brakes off of Ohio State. But I still don't think Michigan can run the table in the SEC like they are where they're at.
Yeah.
I think that's a great one. And the crazy part is, too, like, of all the ways last week could have ended for Alabama to have a chance to be in it, it went the perfect way for them. Literally, every single team that needed to lose lost.
Yep. Okay, well, I'll be honest. I think we're all kind of hitting around the same stuff here because my blursedness is going to be specifically the Georgia Tech game that unfolded this weekend. Did you guys get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, I watched most of the first half I stopped watching once I knew we won, basically.
Yes. Which was a lot longer. My point in choosing it is if you look at the box score, then it's gonna look pretty much how you would have thought it would have gone before the game. But if you watch the game, you'll see that it did not go that way. The only reason that I wasn't panicking during this first half was because of how well we'd done over the past 2 years. If it was normal Georgia fan Aaron, I would have been sweating bullets.
Oh,
we
yeah.
did not look great. Georgia Tech shut down the passing game in the first half. They honestly could have been up, or honestly, they probably could have had about a 2-touchdown lead. There's 2 plays that I remember specifically that happened, and they are the direct reasons of the Blursed.
Well, they had Georgia Tech had some drop catches and stuff like that where they
two in the first half that were on crucial third downs. There was one specifically that was the actual turning point of the game, in my opinion, which is when Georgia was only up. Let's see, I think it was like 13-7.
Yeah, like we were only up a score, I think.
And they had a 3rd and long and hit a running back out of the backfield who was wide open, would have gashed us for probably 20 yards. Instead, he drops it. And the very next play, they fumble the snap.
Muff the punt.
They muff the punt snap, and we tackle the punter down there. And then from that point on, Georgia didn't really look back. It was still shaky for some of the first half, but then the second half we settled down. So the true blursedness of it is cursed in that sometimes we're always going to have, when it comes to Georgia sports, we're always going to have that in the back of our heads when things like this start to happen.
Yep.
But yet blessed with a team and a coach, it seems like, that can take the blows from games like this and still battle back and do what good teams are supposed to do when you have slow starts. Go to the second straight undefeated regular season in a row.
Yeah, I think honestly we should go into Georgia first if y'all are okay with that. Like, I think it's the hot topic. Yeah, I actually think that honestly we've talked so much about the Falcons. We've been starting with them because it's been like, oh, playoffs or not, but really it's the same conversation this week, and we can get into that.
I think we've been starting with the Falcons because I'm usually really pissed that I wasted 2.5 hours of my life.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah. So before we get to the Dogs, then who we want to say the winner is this week?
I'd go with Blake still.
Yeah, I'd biasly go with myself.
I'd go with myself.
Oh wow. Okay.
But I liked both years. Like I agree. These were good ones.
Yeah.
Everyone was good. These were all good. But the one that hurts me the most is the Falcons one. Like, that one gives me pain because we had to keep doing this.
Me pain.
It's about what you expect.
Wait. How about them dogs?
God, that gets me psyched.
How about them dogs indeed? Hayden, these are getting better and better. You did some work over the past 2 weeks on them. It seems like none.
It's just been so long since we've done this now.
Yeah, true.
They
all
forgotten.
Feel new.
They don't feel weird. They feel new. Yeah, they feel good now. Like, at first it was like, this is different, but now it's like, this is a good different.
Yes.
In the saddle.
Yeah.
So, speaking of different, but not necessarily good different, let's start with how this game started, which we did not go into, of course, in the blursedness of the week there. But did you guys know? So Georgia Tech gets the ball. They go down. There was they stalled out around midfield and they go for it on it was like a 4th and 9, 4th and 10, and they get this long pass. They end up going down and scoring on their first drive. And I'm thinking, okay, wow. Was not expecting that. But Furthermore, they popped 2 stats up on the screen over the next couple minutes that I wasn't expecting even more than that, which was that this is the first time an opponent has scored on their opening drive against Georgia since 2016.
What?
2016 was
That's
the last
crazy.
time.
A touchdown? Or we
A
had to give
touchdown.
an-
Yeah, sorry, a touchdown.
But still, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
That's
And then this is the first time an opponent has scored a touchdown in the first quarter against us in 2 years.
2 years, right?
Yeah. So just some insane stats there that they threw at us. The ESPN broadcast is where those came from. But yeah, so Georgia Tech, they came out fired up. They came out looking good. But like we talked about a second ago, yeah, this Georgia team, the thing that's so comforting about them is that someone always makes a play. Whether and it all starts to happen around the same time. Something clicks eventually with this Georgia team, regardless of, I don't know what you want to call it, whether they were hungover and a noon start and they had already wrapped up an undefeated SEC schedule, whatever the case might be with why we started slow. Just
My
like
guess
every
was
other game.
hungover.
Yeah,
That's what I was saying about the secondary to start the game. I was like, these guys look like way slower than these Georgia Tech wide receivers, which it's like, how
Which
are
is
these guys
crazy.
been holding the SEC defenses or offenses, shut out basically.
Yeah.
Just dominated. And then, Georgia Tech coming out and throwing the ball like that on us, it was a little discouraging. But yeah, it does feel that like the first half of a lot of these games, and we do play a lot of these schools that aren't as good, or like Missouri, Kentucky, that we should be blowing out. It feels like we kind of trade blows in the first half, and then we score at the end of the first half, and then we get the ball back to start the second half, and then we pull away. And it feels like we've had that game script happen over and over, so it doesn't feel good watching the first half, and then it's like the end of the game, and we've won by 20 plus.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like complacency. Like that's what it looks like. When we have a big game, we've shown up. Every single big game this year, we've shown up and we've beaten the other team
from
badly.
the start too.
Yes, from the start. But if you look
with the
at all the
exception of that
games-
opening fumble on the Tennessee game drive, and that's it.
Right. But if you look at all the games that have been close, you've Kent State, which was close for way longer than it should have, followed by Missouri, which is like, honestly, that's the closest game of the season. That was the scariest game of the entire season. And then Kentucky, we never really pulled away. And now Georgia Tech the same way. I mean, Georgia Tech played their best game too, like one of their best games. They were playing on all cylinders, and you're playing against a team that, I mean, Georgia's #1 in the nation for a reason. Like, we're the best flawed team in the nation. I say flawed because there has been a little bit of complacency this year. But still, if you compare it back to like Mark Richt years, this Georgia team is way better than any team that we've ever put on the field for all those years combined.
Correct.
I feel like. So it's one
and they're
thing.
just better coached too.
Yeah, and I know we're dogging them for this, but really they're still so good. Like, I still think they're the best team in the country, and I don't think it's close.
To me, I'm not dogging them for this. I'm not saying what I said in a negative light, because of the fact that you gotta understand, and like I think some people brush this over, and how we as Georgia fans could go ahead and start to brush something like this over is wild to me. But we just went undefeated in the SEC 2 years in a row. We just put together 2 undefeated regular seasons 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand how hard that is to do.
Yeah, that's like Ohio State, Alabama stuff.
Not even. Not even. It's close to, yes, it is things we've seen in the middle of this Alabama dynasty that we're still seeing. It's stuff that we saw
Clemson,
in the Florida dynasty. Not even Clemson. In the Florida dynasty, back when Tim Tebow was there, you saw it then a couple times. But I don't think people quite understand that it gets in like much, not exponentially, but much more difficult week after week after week. Not only to the complacency thing that you were saying, getting yourself out of that mentality, but also the fact that you're getting every single team's Super Bowl. Like, you are the circled game on the calendar for everybody the past 2 years. And that's hard to overcome, but we've done it.
Yeah, I mean, it's super impressive. But just to take a moment to look at it from Tech's perspective, Brent Key is the interim head coach, and I mean, I thought he did a hell of a job, to be honest. Like,
they went 4-4 while he was coach.
Like, unbiased, I hate Georgia Tech, but
yeah,
I mean, it's impressive what he did. He put up a good game against us, and he won some big games against decent opponents in the ACC
did.
this year. And so there's rumors going around that he won't be hired as the new head coach.
Really?
It's disappointing.
I don't understand that. You saw him come in to Georgia and like put up a fight. Against, far and away probably the best team in the nation right now.
Well, they beat a ranked team just a couple weeks ago, didn't they? Who was?
Yeah, I mean the problem was they had some duds under him.
UNC.
Okay, yeah,
they had some duds under him, but still, like exactly what you're saying, they also showed a lot of promise in those games. And he's a young coach. Like the guy they're talking about hiring is Tulane's coach, he's 62 or 63 years old. Like he's had time to prove himself. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Fritz. Like don't get me wrong, he's not a bad coach, but don't you want a young, exciting hire, or even like a young hire where you feel like you can establish something there and not some? I don't know. I just feel like going old here.
Like the guys rallied around him. I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now. Before Brent Key took over, they had won one game, and it was to Western Carolina.
Yeah.
After he took over, they beat Pitt, Duke, Virginia Tech, and
those were big wins. The Pitt and Duke.
Two of those were ranked, and Duke is also a good team. I think Duke's 7-5, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, but the Virginia loss was bad.
Right.
They just were hot or cold though to end the year, I would say. But still, like they played really good football under Brent Key.
They did. Yeah, the Virginia one was when they did that weird little.
It was like that Thursday night game. They couldn't do anything on offense.
Well, and the game ended with that Hail Mary that they didn't.
The quarterback just ran off the field.
That was a bad look.
But
that's not the quarterback. I don't think it's the quarterback that started against us.
But guys, like,
no, it wasn't.
If Tech had been told at the beginning of the season that they were going to be 500, like, would they be happy with that?
Or a game within 500?
If they were bowl eligible, then they probably would have been happy with that. And so, like, if he had the whole season, they very well could have been bowl eligible.
For sure.
Yes,
which
totally
that
agree.
is a huge step in the right direction, especially from where they were when they let Jeff Collins go at the beginning of the year. But we can leave that there. What else you guys want to chat about this ball game?
Well, honestly, go ahead, Blake.
I was going to say the importance of winning this game is super important because if you win, you remain in first place. I just believe like if you look at all the games this week, like we're 1 versus 11. That's the best. 3 versus 13 is the second best game. So I don't think anyone passes you if you win. And it's important to win so that way you can pick the Peach Bowl. So that way we have the home field advantage going into the playoffs because the other game would be, I think, in Glendale, Arizona.
Correct.
So you really want to win this game so that way you get to choose which bowl game you play in. Give yourself home field advantage for the first playoff game.
Do you get to choose that? I thought it just rotated that this year the Peach Bowl would be the first versus 4 game.
I think you choose, or maybe you don't. I think you choose based.
I thought it just went yearly. If they just switch the games around, like this year, this will be the 1-4 matchup, and this will be the 2-3.
I heard you choose on the radio. I could be wrong, but I heard that on 99 the game that you choose. So if that is the case, or regardless, however we get the Peach Bowl, I think you have to win. So
it reminds me of like that stuff that used to happen to. Now we would be earning this, but back in the middle of Duke's dynasty, when Coach K really had things rolling, when we were growing up, or at least when Hayden and I were growing up, like but no, Duke would be the number 1 seed, would be the number 1 overall seed almost every year in college basketball, and they would also be playing in the regional.
Oh, and their region,
like they'd be playing in the regional of like Charlotte or like Raleigh. Or Greensboro.
So a bunch of home games.
Yeah, a ton of home games to start the NCAA tournament. Was always a fun little Coach K.
But Kirby's kind of about that though, and it's good that Atlanta has stayed so prevalent in college, and it always will be prevalent in college football because we have the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, which is a huge that's a huge thing for Georgia and Tech. If Tech can ever get their crap together, like it'd be good for both of them.
Yeah. But otherwise, just as far as I don't have much to talk about with this game left, Blake.
Yeah. My last thing I want to say is just like, I trust this Georgia team to, even if we start slow, we're going to come back. It reminds me of the Hawks of 2 years ago when we would always counterpunch. Like we might not always be winning the game, but we'd counterpunch, slow it down, and then we'd just get the lead. That's kind of how this Georgia team reminds me of. I do worry about Stetson though. Like if Stetson plays just normal Stetson, we're going to win every game. But if Stetson has his head in the clouds a little bit
in big games,
and not in big games. I agree with that, but he's like, he did not play that well against Tech. Like I would argue. Yeah. And so like, you can't have that show up but he's not. He hasn't done that big game. So to your point, I mean, I agree. That's the only thing that scares me the most. I would say.
Right. No, I see what you're saying.
I think he was held to what, like 28 passing yards in the first half or something.
Yes.
Like that?
Yeah, it was bad. He had like 2 interceptions or an interception. You might have had one.
I don't think he threw any interceptions.
No,
I thought he
interceptions
did
this week.
Was it a fumble then?
No,
not him, but I think he threw the ball into. I know we had a turnover.
Yeah,
yes,
we did lose a fumble at some point.
Yeah,
can't place it.
And it wasn't on him, but
let's look ahead. And so my blurse of the week was Alabama could still make it, and I believe that.
Oh yeah,
and there has to be a certain situation happen, but they're ranked number 7 right now. South Carolina, USC, Southern California. They are playing Utah, who's a good team.
They are.
And so USC would need to lose that game. LSU, they're not going to make the playoff either way. I mean, I guess if LSU beat us, then they would have to be above Alabama at that point, right?
The only way LSU could make it is if they beat us and TCU loses, USC loses, and Michigan lose. Like, I think that's the only way they would make it.
But I don't think they make it even if that happens because they got 3 losses.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't see there's never been a 2-loss team in the
playoffs. In playoffs.
Let alone a 3-loss team. I don't think they get in no matter what.
I agree. I think Georgia gets in no matter what, unless we get blown out.
Yeah, but unless we get blown out, we get in.
But I still think
who has 3 losses?
LSU.
Yeah, they just lost to Texas A&M on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, LSU. That's why LSU, like, there was a bigger game until LSU lost on Saturday, which is what opened this up for Alabama.
Yeah, LSU was 5th. LSU could have easily gotten in had they not lost to Texas A&M and beat us.
But Alabama still needs 2 teams to lose because I think Ohio State's still ahead of them. So Alabama,
Ohio State and USC would need to lose again. Which Ohio State's
Ohio State's not playing.
It
has to be Michigan. So Michigan would have to lose, and
I'm sorry,
either TCU or USC. Because here's the thing: if Georgia loses, we're still in the playoff. So Alabama needs 2 schools to lose that aren't Georgia.
Correct.
So 2 schools ahead of them. So it needs like USC, TCU, or Michigan. 2 of those,
which definitely could happen.
Let's just keep this simple and hope that everybody just wins their championship, so we don't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't care. Let's play Alabama.
You know what else?
I'll smack them too.
One cool thing that we've been afforded, given our dominance over the past 2 seasons, is that we don't have to worry about anybody else. And really, to be honest with you, it's the first time that we're doing it because it's human nature. And we think we want to play certain teams over other ones. But at the end of the day, I can't recall a stretch where Georgia hasn't actually needed to look at other games on Saturday. We don't need to look at anybody else. And it's been that way since the beginning of last year. Which is really
I agree.
Cool.
Yeah, you're in charge.
You just do your own thing, and you're going to win the national championship.
Yep.
Which is cool.
Looking at like the top 12 here right now,
there's
no reason that we need an expanded college football playoff. There's no reason.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited to get. I want one of each Power 5 in there, and I want to start seeing like a 2. I want to see a Cinderella story. Like, playoffs are cool because it lets a team that wouldn't normally make it.
Will they start like taking some of the cupcake games out from earlier in the season to like make it less of a strain?
Well, I'm sure. I think they don't have to lessen the season and stuff like that because a team like Georgia would play 16 games, and I don't know if they want college kids playing that many. But we'll see. I don't know how exactly they're going to change all this.
Nobody wants to give up ticket revenue and concessions and stuff like that from a home game either.
Exactly.
Well, that's the home games would be your first playoff game would be a home game in the new format.
Not for everybody,
but for UGA.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't be neutral site games is the point.
Right, they'd be home games for those schools.
They'd split revenue.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like it. I want it to happen.
I like it. I like it.
But I still agree with Hayden's point. I only like it because I love football.
Me too.
You give me more football, I'm gonna be okay with it. But it is probably gonna lend itself to Hayden's point to. In a couple years, I could see Ohio State beating. I don't know. I could see Ohio State beating even this year, like a 2 or 3 loss LSU team.
Yeah.
But in some years, there's going to be a 2 or 3 loss team
that's going to run the table. They're going to run the table and make an upset. Yeah. I think it's scary. Like if the SEC could get 3 teams in there, like, that's the thing is. Kirby Smart said it yesterday, I think, or maybe it was today, where he said I invite any of these undefeated teams down to come play in the SEC all year because they might win a 1-game series against them, but let's let them see it do it week in and week out. I think it's talking about Michigan, TCU, and stuff. And it's like, it's true, man. You have 3 SEC teams in the 12-team playoff. Like, it doesn't matter who the number 1 seed is. One of those 3 teams could win. Like, that's how good the SEC is.
Correct. Exactly.
As good as we are, LSU could still upset us on Saturday. Not saying they will. I think we win that game handily, but they could. Like, that's just how good the SEC is.
I'm looking for a revenge type game for the Joe Burrow year. I watched that game
and the year
at
and before that too.
I don't know if you remember that, Hayden, but yeah, that year specifically, it was the exact same scenario almost, but flopped. And they had Joe Burrow instead of Stetson Bennett. But
you know what's crazy though about that team is that team had flaws throughout the year. But then you look at the run they did, and they're considered one of the greatest college football teams of all time. Like now, some people consider them that. But the crazy part is during the year, people were talking about some of the flaws they had and if they would make it all the way. And I think this Georgia team is pretty reminiscent of that in some ways. Like people talk about the Georgia like we have a ton of flaws, yet we're undefeated, and still like our defense has been legendary. And I mean, you could get to the end of this season and say, wow, that team was one of the most dominant teams we've ever seen. Because look at all of our games. There's only been 1 game or 2 games that were one possession. I
think that, to me though, I think that most of that narrative doesn't come. It comes from more of a local media looking at, because to me, at least from what I've seen, you listen to the local outlets. Yes, they're very nitpicky of Georgia, kind of like how we were earlier in the season on this podcast. But from most of the national media, I've heard a lot of folks pretty much already having it wrapped up. Like, it's pretty clear Georgia's going to repeat.
Who's going to lose to Georgia?
Yeah, who's going to be the team that goes and gets beat by Georgia? Which is cool to hear. It's a little bit. It makes me nervous a little bit, but it is cool. One other thing I wanted to point out in the college football realm before we move on is hats off to Shane Beamer Ball, and South Carolina, dude. It's impressive what they have done the past 2 weeks, beating top 10 teams. Granted, we called it on the podcast. Clemson's not that good.
Yeah,
but they still had a single-digit number by their name, and on top of that, just that rivalry. I mean, that's akin to if Georgia Tech had beat us on Saturday.
Some fans were tweeting out during the game saying that national championship defense is still there, like talking about how good their defense was, and then Spencer Rattler lit them up second half, and I was just like, you might want to delete that tweet.
What happened? What happened where things just started clicking the last few weeks for South Carolina? It's crazy.
I really don't know.
If you're a Florida fan,
for Rattler and Beamer, maybe the play call changed. Yeah. I don't know, but I guess Rattler is a junior, I think, so he could come back.
Okay.
That's crazy. If you're
feels like he's been around for a long time, though.
It does.
It does.
That COVID year of eligibility. Did you guys know there's a linebacker? I think it's for like Northern Illinois or somebody like that. It's a smaller D1 team. He's in his 8th year of college football.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he graduated high school the same year Lamar Jackson did.
That's wild.
And he just can't give it up.
No, well, yeah. So he's had a regular red shirt, the free year of COVID, and he's had 3 medical red shirts.
Wow.
Yeah, the past 2 seasons he's had season-ending injuries.
That's crazy.
So they've
Poor guy.
Let him continue.
Poor kid.
But he's actually starting this year. There was a little story about him on ESPN.
That's awesome.
Yes.
What I was trying to say is, before we move on to the next thing, though, is if you're a Florida fan, I'd be upset right now because you think like, all right, we're number 2 in the SEC East, like we're gonna fall. I think Tennessee
close.
and South Carolina are both ahead of them now. Like I know Florida beat South Carolina this year, but at the end of the season, they were different teams.
Even though Kentucky had a poor end of the season, Kentucky is also ahead of Florida, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think they're close, but I could see it.
And if you go back and listen to like our early season, we went through the entire schedule and we picked out games that would be a trap. I said South Carolina because I thought Beamer was a good coach, and it didn't end up being a close game. But it seems like maybe next season that's something that should be circled and be careful because it's probably an early season game again.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't know. They got some confidence now. They've ran out of fireworks against Tennessee. They put up so many points, which is hilarious.
That's awesome.
It is so funny.
Tennessee got smacked by us, and then they're like, "All right, our season's over."
Yeah,
which it wasn't either. If they won out, they'd be right there in the college football playoff.
Oh yeah, they would be in the playoff right now.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. I just think that's so funny. the South Carolina thing. I truly can't get over it. I've woke up each day since just being like, damn, that was awesome way to end the season for that team.
Beamer better watch out. He might screw around and end up I don't know. One of these big name schools in the
Well, he
SEC.
can't be he dodged a bullet. He's not going to be the next head coach of Auburn. Did you guys see that getting released today?
Is it Hugh Freeze?
Hugh Freeze is back, folks.
Yeah,
dude, that's another one that is weird to me because Cadillac did really well.
Yeah,
as an interim head coach.
Mm-hmm. Super popular former player. Makes me feel old. I actually remember.
Like Cadillac Williams.
Yeah,
Cadillac
was the
Williams.
interim head coach for Auburn.
Yeah. He's been the interim head coach this whole time.
I didn't know that.
He was their running back coach. Yeah.
So, weird choice.
But yeah, Hugh Freeze, one of the more scummy individuals
dude, Auburn's ever grasping for straws since they got rid of Gus Malzahn.
I mean, it's like I don't know. I couldn't think of a worse hire for Auburn because while Hugh Freeze can win games, he can't win games without cheating. He's shown that. It's literally
followed him everywhere he's gone. Yeah.
So literally everywhere he's gone, he'll win, but he'll also cheat, and it'll all come crashing down. Ole Miss is only just now recovering from how he ruined that program. And so it just blows my. They have all the money in the world there at Auburn with those boosters, and they said we have a terrible culture here. We got to get somebody new in. Who's the guy to do that? Hugh Freeze. That just blows me away, man. But
can't wait for Todd Grantham to head there to be defensive coordinator.
Yes, he's going to bring Todd over.
All right, let's get some predictions in here.
Blursed bets.
All right, for the SEC championship, Georgia is the 17.5-point favorite right now, which is a little wild. Over-under is set at 49.5. So
give me the under. Wait, hold up. Let me do the math real quick. I need 17 points. If you win 30%. Yeah, give me the Georgia points, and then give me the under though. I actually think Georgia's going to smack the hell out of them.
I think they're going to smack the hell out of them too, but so much so that I'm still going to take the over.
See, I think we hold Tennessee to not many points, so I'm thinking like a 35 to.
I see what you're saying,
14.
But see, in the dome, there ain't gonna be. It's not gonna be a downpour.
I'll agree with Blake here. I'll take the Dogs in the under.
Wow.
I'm not super convinced about how well the offense has been moving the ball here lately. Hopefully we break some plays instead. Has his big game haircut and feels good.
Yeah, he has got to get that fresh cut before the game every
time. Mm-hmm.
Hell right. Well, let's keep talking about more footy.
Should we pass it to the other team? I mean, our own team. Sorry, Mariota. My bad.
Oh, no. If Mariota's throwing it, we're not going to get there.
Falcons.
Like Falcants, am I right?
You are right, sadly.
They've been showing that the last few weeks, haven't they?
You know what's funny? We said we'd lose to the Bears. We beat the Bears. And in a game where I thought the defense played well and did enough to stop Justin Fields, we got 4 sacks. And I really think that's why we win that game. And then you go and have a really winnable game against the Commanders. And what do? You Mariota at the end.
You got beat by yourselves, by the way. How similar are the Commanders to the Falcons as far as what they want to do?
Oh, we're the same team.
Yeah, I didn't really realize it until I watched the game.
I think Heineke's more
talented. They have a capable quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. That's the main difference there.
I think Heineke's more talented than Mariota is the sad part.
Immensely.
Yeah, like if we had Heinicke, I think we're probably in first place in our division right now. I'm not even going to lie. If we had Jacoby Brissett, we'd be first place in our division right now.
If we have Blake Bortles, I think we're first in the division.
Bo? Hell yeah, we would be.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to say something. I want to defend Arthur Smith's play call on the pick because all I heard on the radio today was people flaming him for that. I'm sorry. One, you have to score a touchdown there to win the game. There's no guarantee we score because everyone's saying you just run the ball. Well, everything changes when you're on the 4-yard line. Like it's harder to run. They know what you're trying to do. The play was there. He made a great play call. The play was there. Mariota screws it up. It gets picked off. And then the defense holds them anyway. So, like, I just think
the decision. No, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I just think the play call was right. And I think Arthur Smith looks like a hero if Mariota completes the pass because he was wide open. The receiver was wide open.
So, to me, there was a play call that we should complain about in that sequence that isn't the one you're talking about. I agree with you there. No, I'm not even talking about the first time play. the read option had been working all day.
Yeah.
Well, now the read option on the goal line is a different animal. You're not spread out as much. You're much more compacted. It's easier to get the read. So we could have that talk, but I'm still relatively okay with that. What I'm not okay with, and sure, maybe he could shirk responsibility to his special teams coordinator, but is why go for the punt block on the ensuing possession when we actually get the stop?
Oh God.
And we go for an all-out punt block when you're getting the ball back, and we rough the kicker. Automatic.
Weren't we
first
out of
down.
timeouts though? And it's like only 40 seconds left. So
we were out of timeouts.
I don't see Mariota
agree.
getting us down the. I think he thought like our only chance is. I blame the player more than the play call on special teams. But
That's a good point. Yeah, our only chance is if we block this and run it back.
yeah, because Mariota's not getting you down the field in that 40 seconds.
I guess to that point. Now
you had to score a touchdown.
When I was watching it, you're right. That did cross my mind. I looked. I was like, why is he going to block this? I looked and saw that we had no timeouts. And like you said, there was under a minute left. I'm like, okay, fine. Maybe we can get to it. But then just the fact that the exact worst case thing happened, to me, is just a bit of a
What pissed me off too is people were like, we should have ran the ball. You got to run the clock out. You're giving him back when too much time. Like, but it's like our defense held them in the pursuing like the next drive. Like I think thought our defense could hold them. Neither offense looked great that game. The defense was playing all right.
Guys, we don't score much. If you think you have a play call that's going to get you in the end zone, you fucking do it. Do it.
Yeah.
All right. I don't care how much time's left. Like,
you
just get in.
And it was the right play. I'm Mariota, and I don't even know if it's Mariota's fault. It might have been a great play by the defense. I heard some people say like, "Oh, it was a really good defensive play." I still want to blame the quarterback because Mariota's hurt me so many times this year. Let me blame him.
Yeah.
Now, I will say the naked read option though on the first down. Now that I'm sitting here ruminating on it,
it wasn't good. It wasn't.
I don't love it. I don't love the play call.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
it puts you in the hole for the next two downs.
Agreed. And the cool part too, and then here's worried I think about the down to distance. Like I think that's why we threw it too. Like there was that worry there because you're already getting set back. And the Commanders are top 5 run defense. So the fact that we even ran for that many yards, he was super creative in the play calls. We did a lot of outside sweeps, a lot of outside handoffs. We avoided the middle where they're strong at.
We still had a few gashes up the middle, though. I think running to the boundaries helped open up a little bit.
Yes.
So Algier and Caleb Huntley had 2 big runs.
They
up
look
the middle.
so explosive too.
They
both
did.
Those guys. I really like them as a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
And then Patterson is just so. I mean, he's so dynamic and can do everything. Something I want to highlight as we're talking about the Falcons is that if you look at the NFL in general yesterday, 10 teams won a game by 1 possession or less. Like 1 touchdown or less. Yeah,
that's the NFL, baby.
And I just want to talk about the fact that like Falcons, yes, we've had some tough losses this year, and because if you look, we've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games to 1 possession, or 4 games to 1 possession, 4 games to 1 possession or less. We've also won, I think, 4 games 1 possession or less. So like it just shows you that it's any given Sunday, any team can win, and we just don't have the clutchness. We don't have that one.
No.
That one player to make that one play. Like I miss Matt Ryan so much right now when you could count on him to go out there and make that play.
Yes.
You just can't with Mariota.
You know who's pretty clutch and has been rumored to be coming to the Falcons this offseason? Old Derek Carr.
Don't say it.
He got a big win.
He has led a ton of game-winning drives in his career.
That hurts.
Just throw that out there. But I mean, I don't know. I think I'd say the same thing about Derek Carr. If we had him instead of Mariota, everything else the same, I think this is a playoff team. Probably
I think so too. Playoff caliber.
Division.
Yeah, you not because you're great, but because you win the division. Yeah, so we're in an easy division. We still have holes. For positions.
Going back through like our schedule too, just looking at the wins and losses. It's tough, especially how some of these teams have turned out this season.
We've beat some good teams, and we've lost to some bad ones, the sad part. You beat the 49ers. You beat the 49ers. You beat the Browns.
I think that's the one. The Browns are like 4-7 or something like that.
Yeah.
Are they? No, I think they're better than that.
Look it up.
You also beat the Seahawks.
That is true. We did. All right, so I think the Seahawks and the 49ers is where I would stop.
But those are 2 good teams. Like
they are.
We haven't played too many great teams.
Browns are 4-7.
All right, they are 4-7. But they also have a hard schedule.
49ers are good. We lost to the Rams, who are 3-8.
Yeah, that was a bad loss.
No, and you look at the Saints,
that's a bad loss. Yeah,
the Panthers, who are 4-8.
Should have lost to the Panthers twice.
Yeah, we should have. You're not wrong.
Yeah, that one.
The book's out on the Chargers, I guess. They're hanging.
We should have
around
beat
at
that team. Is the
6-5.
sad part, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But the sad part is too. If you look at the schedule, how many games could you be like, "Wow, we actually had a chance to win that game"? Look at the Saints game. Look at the Rams game. Look at the Chargers game. Look at the other Panthers game, and the Commanders game. That's 5. There's 5 games that you could have won easily, and
for sure,
because you had a chance. Like you had the chance to win that game, and that's crazy to think about. Like I mean, it's disappointing.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting every week watching this.
You could be 10-2.
You just wait for that moment that something's gonna give and we're gonna lose.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like the reason that we win the close games is because the other team fucks something up more than we do. And not necessarily we make I don't know. I mean, like the Chargers, like when we gave that fumble recovery right back. That was that moment.
We also dodged a bullet on the refs overturning that Eckler touchdown. I know that extra hurt you.
Oh yes, I remember that. I think honestly, guys, the Falcons are going to finish this season going 3-2 in these last 5 games and finishing 8-9. Because I think we beat the Steelers. I think we beat the Saints. And
Steelers are quite bad. They're 3-7.
Yeah. And I don't think the Cardinals are good either. Like I think you have a lot of winnable games here at the end again.
There are.
And
almost everyone coming up is winnable. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's what I'm gonna say. I would love if we're gonna win these games. I want us to make the playoffs. Like I want us to win 3 and beat, including the Buccaneers, and we beat Tom Brady and eliminate him from playoffs, and we win. Or I want us to lose out, like because I just would rather have us a better pick. And I hate saying that because as a fan, like I want to root for success, but I really don't want to see a 7-10 finish. And
fuck the Buccaneers, man. If Tampa had just won this game against a very beatable Browns team, then I'm pretty sure our playoff percentages went from like if we won the game, it would have been like in the 80%, so we were going to make the playoffs. Or if we had lost, which we did, it was going to drop to 10%. But now we're still stuck in the middle
because of the fucking Bucks.
And so that would have allowed us to make a decision, or like I don't know. If you're that low percentage, maybe Art's like, okay, I'm going to just do this to appease the fans so they can see how terrible Ritter is.
Yes.
But I just, man.
What a weird team they are, too. Like, if the Buccaneers, if we're talking about them, like, they first game of the season, they won 19-3 against the Cowboys. But then they have losses against the Packers, the Steelers, the Panthers, and the Browns. Like, they have 4 awful losses.
It's so weird. Yeah, I did. Blake, I think maybe even you sent it to me, that clip of Nick Wright pulling his hair out almost. He was like, because I don't agree with Nick Wright that often. In fact, he reminds me a lot of Blake. But
more like Nick Wrong, am I right?
Yes, exactly.
Am I right?
But if you if you remember the clip, Blake, he hit it around that. He was like, I'm about to lose my freaking mind because what's gonna happen, I can see it now. What's gonna happen is Tom Brady is gonna go 8-9 and win that division, and he's gonna get matched up with fucking Daniel Jones,
Seahawks, or some or the Giants, some bad team.
Yeah, he's gonna go play Geno Smith, and then he's gonna play Daniel Jones, and then he's gonna be in another Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like that's
it really does
on course,
like
on the menu coming up now.
But if you look at their schedule, I mean, their schedule's harder than ours. They have to play the 49ers and the Bucks, and then they play the Cardinals and us and the Saints. So like they have a lot of divisional games left, and they play the 49ers and the Bengals. Like the Bucks may not win. I don't know. It's just the division's so up for grabs. It's crazy the fact that we're still in this, but we are. And so we're gonna see Mariota until we're not, which will probably be at the end of the season.
Sadly. The Bucks are our last game of the season.
I would love to end Tom Brady's
It could come down to that. But
we've never beat him. Never.
If it resembles anything like the games that we watch through the year, we're gonna fumble it right at the very end.
Yeah. Well, the good news is we are 4-1 at home this year. We've been bad away, but we've been good at home, and so we do get them at home. If we're gonna look for any silver lining, we get them at home. We get the Steelers at home, and I believe we also get the Cards at home. So.
How does it work? Does draft position go straight by overall schedule, or does it go like if you make the playoffs that launches you up above
I think it's
other teams.
I
Because
think
if
wins
it's
losses
not,
until the playoffs, maybe.
okay. I just think that's interesting. Well,
But you know
I
what's
don't know.
crazy is we could go 8-9, get first place in our division, and host the first playoff game because a division winner gets to host a game.
yes.
I mean, heck, what if we win the division? We're still in the top 10.
Yeah, that God,
Oh,
that would be
Jesus.
wild.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
It's just such a middling situation that we're in, and it feels like, and that's been the situation the entire season.
How do y'all feel like if we just want to take a pause here and like look at the Falcons on the season? How do y'all feel about the Falcons as a whole? Like, I do feel like they're better than I thought they'd be this year, but to a
Yes.
point that it's frustrating
Right.
because you see that they're close, but you also understand the fact they're not going to win those games because like you understand why we lose the games. It's not like years past where we lose a game we should win. Like, God, like Falcons should have won that game. It's
We're
like
establishing a culture this year.
Yes,
You guys forget
gosh,
that.
we are. Yeah, it has been very frustrating in that way because they are much better than I thought they'd be, but they are as inconsistent as we probably thought they'd be too, just in a different way.
different way.
And so that's been the most frustrating part because you raise the expectations after the first few games. Hell, after the first game, even though we lost,
Yeah.
raise the expectations there, and then they kept getting raised, and then it's just been so up and down since then. And yeah, we know the reason. It just sucks.
Better to be us though than like a Saints fan right now. You come into the season thinking you're a playoff team, and you've been so bad, and they're shuffling quarterbacks. I have no idea what's going on. The Rams, yeah, exactly.
One of the worst Super Bowl title defenses I've ever seen.
Yes. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot more to be hopeful about as a Falcons fan. Like I feel like you could see potential of success next year, as early as next year. Whereas some of these teams, like you're like, what the hell happened this year? And if you're not ready this year, especially like a team like the Saints, you're not going to be ready next year. They're tied up cap wise for like 2 to 3 years from now. So we're in a position to where we can be successful in the future. It's whether we seize the opportunity or not.
Right.
And even like teams like the Cardinals too, who have like a franchise quarterback and pieces surrounding him, and they still can't put it together. At least it's like if it definitely feels like we are that quarterback piece away.
Yes.
And hopefully that would be.
And the defense has been improving.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, secondary looked better
really
this week
game,
too.
You can tell Terrell's
played
back.
really well. Yeah. It makes a huge
he
difference.
almost Terrell almost had that interception. The one it got overturned, right? The one I'm thinking of where he did.
I think so.
The sideline play.
A player I was frustrated with a little bit earlier, but I've now come around was Mikael Walker. He's had flashes of being awesome, and then flashes were like, "What are you doing?" Because he missed.
He did have
tackles.
This game.
But yeah, he was in the right place, right time. He had a great game in general. I'm very hopeful about the linebackers and secondary next year with all these young guys getting to year 2, 3. Like I just think we're going to be really talented at that position, and I'm excited to see what we do up front on both lines.
Back to your point you said a second ago, you said it perfectly. Right place, right time for Michael Walker's interception. Credit to him. But if you go back and look at that play, and I like Taylor Heineke, I think we all do, as we said. But that was a terrible throw.
It was inexcusable.
if you go look at that play, it looked like I actually can't think of a scenario other than what it was that it looked like, because
he must have lost Michael Walker in the just in the sea of everybody.
But there was like if Michael Walker hadn't have caught that, there were, I think Richie Grant and AJ were right there next to it as well.
Yeah.
It was like he threw it to 3 Falcon defenders there. Basically, it was a wild throw.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And the cool, I will say about the Commanders, like I don't want to rip them too hard. They're actually not a bad team. They're 7-5. Like they're 7-5, and they have some good wins, and they have some they lost the Vikings only by 3 points. So like we played a good team well again. The only team we haven't played well all season was the Bengals, and they were due to whoop someone at that point in the season, if we're going to be honest. And we were also
really
missing,
good sense as well.
Yes, and we were missing our 3 best cornerbacks in that game. So there's a lot of things that made sense about that. But yeah, there's a lot of positives about the Falcons. We're just not there yet, and that's going to be the story all season.
It really looks like they should win 3 out of the next 5, and then the other 2 should be close.
Yes.
Really, every game's going to be close. We're going to blow a couple, and then we'll see. But our preseason predictions, what did we say? Aaron and I said 5, and Blake said
12,
7.
Yeah.
I said 7.
I could
Blake's
honestly
going to be closer.
We're going to end up at 6, is what I'm thinking.
Right between the 2, right between us. Yeah. Hey, but either way, you were right. Like us telling the listeners, like they would have won the Vegas already, because 4.5 was what Vegas gave them.
Yep.
So they already got the over on that.
Yes, that they did.
There are a few teams, just before we get into next week's game, there are a few teams that are like bottom dwellers right now that don't need a quarterback. So the Bears are 3-9, and they're looking at a top 5 pick. Justin Fields seems to be their solution.
Yeah, he's looked awesome.
There could be some opportunities to trade up in this draft. The Seahawks are another one because they have the Broncos pick.
True enough.
I think because of.
Do you think they ride with Geno? It depends how the season plays out for them because they've not looked so good the last two. Well, not that they haven't looked good, but they've lost their last 2 games, and the season could easily fall apart for them.
I just don't think their success doesn't hinge on a top tier quarterback.
Quarterbacks,
clearly,
which it's deceived us for years and years now.
It has.
Probably my worst take on this podcast has been
that
Russell
is
Wilson.
it's so bad.
Wow,
so bad.
That's
Hey,
a fear.
that,
if like we do bring in an experienced quarterback, is like, what if we throw the bag at somebody else and they turn out to be a lemon? Because holy shit, he is so bad.
He is
so bad.
Well, they traded. The problem was they traded and offered him a ton of money. Like, I don't know if you saw after the game, they had the defensive players going up to him yelling at him because they were just so pissed off.
Yeah, Mike Purcell, y'all saw him specifically, got in Russell's face.
It has to be so frustrating if you're a top 10 defense and you're losing games because your offense and the person you're paying the most money on your team can't do anything. Like, he's awful.
At least it's not Zach Wilson, though. Not that those are comparable in many ways. But what at least I cannot get over the whole them losing to the Patriots 10-3, and the defense.
Not my fault.
And that one touchdown that the Jets gave up scored. It was a punt return.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
Special it was a punt return. So the defense only gave up 3 points, and that reporter's like, Zach, do you feel like the offense? He didn't even ask him if he felt like he let him down. He was like, do you feel like you guys on the offense let down the defense? He was like, not at all. No.
Not at all. Yeah, not at all.
Dude, what an asshole.
Dude.
if he just says yes, obviously we let everyone down every game.
Yeah, we scored 3 points.
Yes.
We let everybody down. Because you did. You let people down. You scored 3 points as offense and on a team where you're good. Like, your team's set to succeed.
He is the reason that they are not better. They're good, but they could be better.
Dude, what happened with their running back situation this last week?
Oh my God.
What was that? They started 2 running backs that haven't played all year.
I don't know what
over
the hell that
Robinson
was.
and Michael Carter. Made no sense.
Michael Carter
they started the
hurt.
second team and guys that had been playing with
Carter
Mike White.
Hurt.
Yeah. So right. Yeah.
Right. They're like, you know what, Mike White, everybody's in there.
Hey,
I don't understand the healthy scratch of James Robinson.
Yeah.
But Michael Carter did get hurt.
That's right. He looked good too, which sucked. Sorry, man.
For me.
Speaking of the Jets quarterback situation, last year Mike White came in for a game or
the
two.
Bengals game, right?
Yeah,
and he looked
really good.
And then they went back to Zach Wilson.
Yep.
And now the same thing's happened this season. Sometimes backups can surprise you even if they don't show it at practice if they get an opportunity. It can go the other way too. Like the Colts situation, what's his name that they put in? Ellinger. It can go either way, but
don't forget Nick Foles.
Just have to give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Let's give Ritter a shot. Give Ritter a shot.
To your point, what a bad way that Ellinger thing went. It was like, okay, we're gonna pull Matt, we're gonna put Ellinger in, and it was literally got the coach fired.
Yeah, and then Jeff Saturday comes and gets a win with Matty Ice.
Oh yeah,
and they almost beat the Eagles the very next week. So I want to see the game tonight. I'm excited.
Matt wheeled out a 40-yard run. I think it was a 39-yard run.
Yeah, it was longer than any run that Mariota's had all year.
Yes,
I saw that. I laughed so hard.
Where I was going. That is so funny. That is so funny to me. I love it.
Pure badass speed.
Yeah.
All right.
Matty Wheels. They don't call him Matty Ice Road Trucker for nothing.
Heard that, brother.
Steelers versus Falcons.
Blursed bets.
All right, we are looking at
save your money.
Over under of 42, and the Falcons are favored by 1.5 points.
Oh
man, give me the over and the Falcons.
Give me the under and the Falcons. The under, but the Falcons.
Oh my gosh, you guys were very quick to say that. All right, Blake, what'd you say?
Over and the Falcons. I'm actually thinking this is a game where the Falcons offense puts up some points. And to that point, I bet you that Kenny Pickett gets a couple easy. Kenny Pickett can sling the ball. They're going to throw the ball a lot.
Kenny only throws Pickett's.
Hey now.
Yeah.
All right, give me the under.
Yeah.
I'll take the under, and Oh, dude, 42 is so low.
Dude, the
It is
Fryer,
low,
the
but
Fryer
I'm
move is
still-
going to cook us, dude. Tight ends kill
The
us.
Fryer move.
I'll take Pittsburgh in the over.
You're taking
don't know.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, man. I mean,
How?
I do think the Falcons are a better team.
It
That's
bucks
fair.
the trend though of this. There's a trend this year of a loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I think I just rattled off how our schedule went.
Yes,
right there.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
not a trend. It was just you're just saying what happened in the game.
Well, no,
That's a
but
trend.
No, that is a trend though. I mean, it's been 2 losses and then a win and a loss and then 2 more losses and then a win and a loss, and yeah, somewhere around there.
Oh, wait, no, this would be the loss then, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, this
bada
would
bang.
be.
Yeah, because we beat the Bears.
The Bears.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. Steelers and over. I don't know. Maybe Steelers figure something out. I just don't have faith in the Falcons to put a game away. It's the culture that we have set up here now.
It is, yes.
Real
Thank you,
happy.
Arthur Smith.
It was here when he started. It's still
Yeah.
here.
He's
No, it's
established.
all right. Oh, hold up. As someone who didn't watch the Falcons, it's better than when he got here. I'll be honest. Like Dan Quinn Falcons were a different animal. You lost those games by 20 to 30 points every game.
No,
Bro.
no.
Bro.
We
don't
were
wanna talk
deeper in the
about-
rebuild. We were deeper in the rebuild.
Like,
No, we
I
had-
watched.
We had Julio Jones and Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley. We weren't rebuilding anything.
We had like the arms of Julio Jones. We didn't have the legs.
The
we haven't had the
arms
legs
of
for 10
Julio
years.
Jones.
Yeah, and somehow he's
We're-
still limping around the NFL. Looks slow as fuck. But,
He does.
We won
um,
4 games that year
Which year?
in 2020.
You
That
better
wasn't-
watch your mouth. We're about to rattle off 5 straight losses here if you're not careful.
Yeah. Blake, it's don't. Oh, did he freeze?
No, I'm horrified looking at those scores. We don't even talk about it. We had a
All
really
right.
good win over Minnesota that year, though.
Let's discuss a little bit of fantasy.
Fantasy Power Minute.
Okay, Blake, I think you had a few items you wanted to discuss this week.
Yeah.
Specifically, I'll
I
let you lead
thought-
it.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to like try to target these fantasy power minutes, especially when like we're getting close to playoffs. And for everybody, playoffs, the trade deadline should be over for every fantasy league now, because I know ours is a little bit earlier than some leagues. So I wanted to ask the question today: do the amount of transactions, trade / waiver wire free agents matter? Do you think that matters? Do you think it leads to success? Do you think there's any trends you can actually take from it?
I think in a competitive league, it matters less. Mostly because I make a lot of transactions, but I think that's kind of just the way I like to play, and I like to change stuff up and don't. If somebody's not performing, I just cut ties and move on and try to find somebody else either on waivers or move on with a trade. But I find myself loving the trade or hating the trade just as much. Like I made a trade right before the trade deadline, and each week I'm just like, I don't know if it was the right decision. It might end up screwing me in the playoffs. I don't know.
Should have took my offer, man.
I need to go back and look at it.
It was Mondre and Christian Watson, who refuses not to score a touchdown now.
He
for some
refuses
reason.
not to score touchdowns.
I didn't even start him this week because they're playing the Eagles. He puts up 20 points just because he can.
Jeez. Yeah, that probably would have worked out better, but we live and we learn.
Yeah,
What do you think, Aaron?
I think exactly what Hayden said is 100% correct. The deeper the league, the more talented the league, the less it matters, because I know everyone that's listening to this for the most part has experienced this exact thing, and it's that at least our league, how deep it is. It's like if you don't even bother really reading those like Matt Berry who to pick up each week things for the most
never.
part, because it's like
They were picked
you-
up weeks ago.
yeah, or drafted even. Like
Yeah,
right.
I remember, and this isn't me tooting my own horn, but I just remember I drafted Garrett Wilson, and then it was like week 4 or 5. I was listening to 929 The Game, and they have like a fantasy power minute themselves, and callers call in and ask who to start and who to sit and stuff like that. And I remember one of the producers on 929 The Game was like, "Guys, you're hearing it here first. This guy is probably available in every league out there. He's a big sleeper. You were going to want to go get the rookie wide receiver for the Jets, Garrett Wilson. And I'm like, come, okay. I just turned it off. I was like, that's not
Oh
for
boy.
It's not for
us.
us. Yeah.
That's not for us. All right. So
there's so much information out there these days. Like I think you're 100% right. Like with how, for example, in my work league, I was able to pick up Jamar Chase off of waivers a week ago because someone dropped him after he got hurt. Yes. I saw him out there and I was the only one to put a waiver in for him. Like it's the pick order thing. I was number 5. I was like, well, I won't get him, but I'll try. I got Jamar Chase off of waivers. And I was just thinking no way that would ever work in a actually competitive league.
Right.
So I know I 100% agree. And I think the stats. So what I did was I pulled our stats for trades completed, trades sent, free agent pickup drops, and waivers you've done for the season. And I compiled them just to compare. And first thing I want to say before I even tell you the results is this shows you can play fantasy in a bunch of different ways and still have success. Because all 3 of us are fighting for the playoffs right now. We're all in different kind of spots in the season. But even if I was looking at the whole league as a whole, a lot of people have different strategies in how many trades they do and how many ad drops they do. And different teams have success based on their strategies. And so I just want to say, like, stick to your strategy in fantasy if it's working for you. You don't feel like you have to change it up because there's many ways to play this game. But for example, Kai's, he's in the playoff hunt right now. He's only completed 2 trades this year. Compare that to me, who I'm currently in third place in the playoff hunt, but I've completed 12 trades.
God, that is.
And I'm the league leader with 12, and the second closest, I think, 7.
I was about to say it's probably by a good margin.
Yeah, it's by 5. No, Hayden's 5. Hayden's completed 5 trades on this season. And now here's the other. So for free agent waivers total, Aaron has made 26. So this includes ads, drops, and waiver wires.
Yeah.
You've done 9 waivers, 17 ads or drops. Hayden has 73 combined.
There it is.
54 ad drops, 19 waivers. And then I am 83 combined. I lead the league, so I'm 10 higher than Hayden. I have 69 ad drops and 12 waivers.
Nice.
So I'm lower on the waivers, but I'm higher on the ad drops. I've actually gotten a lot of good value after everyone's pick, and then I go in and try to get 1 or 2.
Yeah, same. I love living on the ad drops there so much. I hate waiting for waivers.
Yeah, especially, I'm a big spend a lot of money on one guy and
then try to get exactly.
Yeah, 100% agreed. So just to show, for example, Aaron much less waiver as it drops us, but he's at specific target he's looking for. Where I'm like Hayden, I'm picking up a guy hoping he pops off that week, and if he misses his opportunity, I'm dropping him because I'm going for the next opportunity.
Yeah, right.
And because you do that, though, you will miss. Like I know Hayden and I both have dropped people that ended up being really good this year. Hayden, do you have one in mind that hurts you that you remember adding and then dropping?
Well, the most recent one was Josh Palmer. With the Chargers, who I had him for probably 4 weeks or so, and he didn't perform at all against the Falcons, which was his big opportunity. Keenan Allen wasn't back, Mike Williams wasn't back, and I was like,
right,
this is his game. And he didn't do anything, so I was like, well, if he can't do it when they're not there, then they both come back healthy.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, I'm going to cut bait. And then Mike Williams gets hurt immediately, and this dude goes off for 30 points. I was like, are you kidding me?
That's
and then
wild.
and then Gray picks him up for like $35, which is a significant amount of our waiver budget.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. You can also make it work to your advantage too. So some of these guys that you pick up, you may not necessarily think
trade them.
Continue that. Yeah. So earlier in the year, shout out Sam. Sorry about this, man. But I picked up Darrell Henderson after Cam Akers was having some issues with the team and like he was trying to quit and stuff like that. So I picked him up, and I think he had like 2 games in a row of over 10 points in our league, which isn't a ton. But I was able
steady. He had steady running back production.
Yeah, he was getting some carries. And then,
Sam had Cam Akers and was frustrated at this point.
Yeah, and Sam had been losing a few games, but I was able to flip Darrell Henderson and another guy, Wandale Robinson, who it was right after they traded Tony.
You got lucky he got
Chiefs.
hurt, though.
Yeah.
He looked amazing for a second.
Yes, he does look super good. But, quality of targets is a thing too from Daniel Jones, who Giants are having a good season, but not necessarily because of Daniel Jones.
Right.
So I was able to flip those 2 for Terry McLaurin. So pretty satisfied with that one, but
absolutely
it cuts both ways for sure.
Yeah, I was going to actually ask y'all. So here's something else. So total trades sent, Kais, you sent 10 trades this year. You only completed 2.
Right. They were both on deadline day, by the way.
Yeah, they were both deadline trades. Hayden
Yes.
Hayden sent 18 this year. He completed
Okay.
5.
Okay.
I completed so Hayden's second most, by the way, just so you know. He sent the second most at 18.
I'm gonna cringe at
I
this,
sent,
aren't I?
yeah, you're gonna cringe. Everyone listening is gonna cringe. I sent 76 trades.
Oh!
I completed 12. I have a problem. I have a
boy.
problem.
You do.
Hey, but here's
Different
the thing.
philosophies.
People
Yes.
wonder how I get good trades. I send a ton of trades. And I will say
You cast
this.
a wide net.
I do.
You're
I cast a wide net.
fisherman.
But I'll also say this. I don't want to go back through. Maybe we'll do it after the fantasy season. I'll go back through and read some of the horror trades that I should have never sent. Because there's some I'm glad never got accepted.
Right.
And we'll make it a special or something like that after the season. But of the 76, it did help me land some players. But I want to call out my worst trade and my best trade real quick. My worst trade I made this year. Let's do my best trade first, actually. My best trade I made this year was Damian Harris. This was before the season started. I traded Damian Harris for Jamal Williams and Joe Burrow. That was to Gray. So that was before the season started. Yeah, I traded. I think that's my best trade personally. Like if you look at all my trades, I think that's where I won a lot on that trade.
Right.
And then I would say my worst trade was I traded J.K. Dobbins and Gabe Davis for Kareem Hunt, but I thought Kareem Hunt was going to get traded, and then he didn't. So then I traded Kareem Hunt back to Gray for Jacoby Myers. So like I lost Gabe Davis, J.K. Dobbins, and Kareem Hunt, and all I got was Jacoby Myers back. But I was trying to get that high upside. Like if you look at my trades, I fluctuate my trades based on how I think the season's going to go, and I'm trying to hit targets when they're going to blow up or move someone before they're going to, I guess, flub it. And so I made a big risk right there trying to get Kareem Hunt before the deadline, but he didn't get traded, so it blew up.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back through some of my own trades here, and which have gone good and bad. Probably
dude, your worst trade's the Sun God trade, dude.
The Sun God trade.
That's your worst trade.
Yeah, but at the time it wasn't as bad. So this is before Rashad Penny got hurt. So I did have, I had I had Walker on my team. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna trade for the starting running back. That way I capture the backfield. So that was my idea there. So I traded Amon-Ra St. Brown for Kyle Pitts and Rashad Penny.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking at the specific trade. I can't find
and Matt Collins. It was Matt Collins, Rashad Penny, and Kyle Pitts for Josh Reynolds and the Sun God.
I had no intention of keeping Matt Collins. I think I dropped him immediately.
Yeah, no, he was a waiver wire addition. My problem with this trade was you already had Kenneth Walker, and I was telling you, because I was already high on Kenneth Walker, I was trying to tell you that he's the guy you want. Dude, you don't really want Penny.
If Rashad Penny didn't get hurt, he would still be a backup.
I think Kenneth Walker does what Breece Hall does to Michael Carter. Like that's how I feel. Kenneth Walker's just that much better than Rashad Penny. Like Kenneth Walker's the truth. I feel like
Rashad Penny's not bad either, though. He's a good
he's
player.
Just not Kenneth Walker though. I'm telling you right now, Kenneth Walker.
We know that now.
Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, we didn't know that then.
Some of us were really high on him. And I tried to get him from you multiple times this year, and you wouldn't give him to me.
There were rumors. People were saying it. They were saying Kenneth Walker's better.
No, but don't get me wrong. You're right. Penny was good. Penny is good. I don't think the trade's bad. I just hindsight, sun god, you know.
Yeah, I did assume that we would go to Ritter a little bit earlier. That's why I traded for Pitts, but I don't know.
Yeah, but I think that's fair too. Like Kyle Pitts and Rashad Penny. If you look at that trade overall, I think you win in the moment. And hindsight is like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah, it can cut both ways, real quick and on a dime too. So
absolutely, it can.
Yeah, because I traded Leonard Fournette and Mike Williams for Jonathan Taylor early in the season. It looked like an awful trade for weeks until 2 weeks ago. And then Jonathan Taylor started doing good and Leonard Fournette got hurt. Mike Williams got hurt. And now it looks like a great trade, but it looked awful for weeks.
I do feel dumb about I traded Devonta Smith for Justin Herbert. And I do have Josh Allen as well. So that was like our trade deadline was right when Josh Allen injured his elbow.
Got you there.
Yeah.
So I was concerned. Quarterbacks have been a big deal in our league this year and probably across a lot of leagues. Maybe it's just our scoring, but the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks have pretty much dictated who wins the week.
Yes.
The exception being Hurts, not on Hux's team. Sorry, Alex.
But this week it will. He got 39 where my quarterback only got 26 or 25.
But there's just been such a steep drop off from that. So I wanted to make sure I had a solid quarterback, and that's another example of me like ready to cut bait because Devonta Smith, he had some good games early in the season, but then as I watch a a second consecutive week of like 2
Busting.
targets or something like that. I'm watching the Eagles game, and he's like the third or fourth option. There's Miles Sanders, A.J. Brown,
Goddard.
Dallas Goedert, and this is before the Goddard injury, and then A.J. Brown got hurt after I traded. Both of them got hurt after I traded them too. So things would have been different if I knew all that ahead of time. But yeah, sometimes I just pull the trigger.
One thing I wanted to shout out was just the 2 quarterback leagues. My roommate Andy is in one himself. I was in it last year and I had to get out. We did 2 quarterbacks back in the day, Hayden, you remember.
Oh yeah.
But and it wasn't that bad then. Now it is so difficult. Just shout out to Andy. If we think we have quarterback troubles, my man Andy is trotting out Trevor Lawrence and Davis Mills every week. In his starting lineup.
So Trevor Lawrence has turned it on recently, but
recently, but he's had them both the whole season. Oof. And it was rough early on. He's got a pretty decent team. He's got Eckler and a couple other good guys, but the quarterback, him having to throw out both Davis Mills and Trevor Lawrence each week is tough to hear.
As we wrap up this fantasy power minute or 20 minutes,
yeah,
I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that I obliterated Aaron this week.
He did.
After a lot of shit talk. And this, so that's a big 2-0.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs put up 56 points.
It was not looking good. It was not looking good.
It was not.
Folks.
I thought you were going to lose, and then Josh Jacobs went Super Saiyan.
It felt like I willed Josh Jacobs into that because like everything that happened at the end of that game is like him like scoring and then it going to overtime.
Everything that could happen for you to be good happened for you right there, which is like that's what fantasy is all about though, is like living on that moment, that high you get.
And even my kicker, I have Daniel Carlson, who's the kicker of for the Raiders. He missed a kick in overtime from 56, so that doesn't hurt me. And then it opened up an additional drive, which that's the 80-yarder that took to the house. So it felt like we were really working in tandem there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I worked overnight last night. I went in at midnight, and so I went to bed. I didn't get to watch most of the games. So when I went to bed, most of the 1:00 games were starting to come to an end, and I was looking good. I was projected to still beat Hayden by like 6 or 8 or something. I had all my good players left. I was like, all right. I snuggle up in bed and I go to sleep, and I wake up around 11 p.m. and I look at my phone, and I've got 5 or 6 texts from other people in the league. It was like Blake, Gray, Brady, and a couple other people. And I went there to first, and I just noticed that each one of the texts said not very many words, and each one of them were something along the lines of "fuck."
Yeah, like sorry, dude.
Damn, dude, or something like that. So I'm like, oh, okay, what happened? And then I went and saw what happened. So yeah, it was a rude awakening, but that's showbiz, baby.
That is showbiz.
That's why we play the game.
It is.
Well, let's get a Fast Hawks 5.
Hawks.
I like that. So since last time we talked, the Hawks are 3-3 with wins over the. Well, we talked about the Bucks, but I'm going to include this in there with wins over the Bucks, the Raptors, and the Kings. All 3 great wins, snapping a Kings 7-game win streak. But we also have awful losses against the Celtics, the Cavs, the Rockets, and then the Heat. Oh, sorry, we're 3-4 in our last 7 games. Really, the Rockets game, inexcusable. Clint Capella hasn't played the last 2 games. A lot of the reason why we lost to the Rockets and to the Heat. Both games were leading at halftime. But the Rockets game, we're leading in the 4th quarter. We lose that one. The Heat come back in the second half and beat us last night.
Weren't we up by like 25 on the Rockets?
We're up by 20 at one point. We're up by 10 going into the 4th quarter. It's just a meltdown. It really was. It became a bunch of ISO ball between Trey and DeJounte passing to each other, and because they're the only ones scoring points. JC scored 5 points. No, JC had 8 points, 5 rebounds on that night.
That was terrible.
It was just bad.
And no, I'm not blaming DJ.
That was when Clint was out too.
Yeah, exactly. He needs to get rebounds when Clint Capella's out.
Right, that's the huge part.
Yes.
Another thing is I'm not blaming DJM for this in particular. It just sucks by the way it turned out. But DJM, I can't remember who it was, some obscure player for the Rockets.
Oh, the technical.
Or it was Jalen Green.
Or Jabari Smith, or it's one of those guys. Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if he got a technical, but the one where he did the too small gesture.
Yeah.
When we're up big, we're up like 20, and he does the too small gesture to one of the guys, and then they come back and beat us, and I'm like, damn that.
And
That's one thing to do that move when you're beating the worst team in the league by 20. All right, that's already not the best look. But then that said team comes back and beats you. Ooh.
Yeah, and this is shit we did.
Yes.
This is stuff we did last year. Like that's stuff we did last year that we don't need. I don't know if it's Nate. I don't know if it's JC. I don't know what it is. Like I don't know why we're losing those games. I do think part of it is Trey and DeJounte figuring out how to mesh together. How do they both be point guards on the same court at the same time? I think they're still figuring that out. I'm not worried about the long I'm not worried about the long outlook of the season. I still think we're in a good spot. We're in 5th place. I mean, you lose a couple more games and then you're in 10th place because the division's really close right now. But
and we're kind of having a Falcons-esque benefit of some really talented teams being
not playing
being
well.
absolute shit right now, like the Sixers.
We're beating the Sixers currently right now by 9. So that game's
happening.
I
didn't
even
know the game was on.
Yeah, we're playing back to back. So
sick.
The thing I wanted to ask tonight was, should we trade John Collins? That's my question for you guys. And I'm not saying this. I want to preface, I don't think John Collins is bad, and I'm not a hater of John Collins. But I do want to, I guess it got brought up again, so I want to ask the question.
As somebody that doesn't know as much about the Hawks, I'll ask some basic questions about him. Is he that bad of a rebounder?
No.
As a 4?
But the problem is he disappears in games when you don't need him to. Like he's a good rebounder typically, but in games like
he has the skill set.
He disappears some games, like just disappears. And some people are like, well, we're not including him enough on offense, but it's like defensive rebounding is a thing too. Like, why are you not getting the defensive boards?
That's the main job.
That's one of your jobs.
Yes.
That's like especially with your starting center being out, you expect him. That's the point of emphasis.
He even got center minutes, and we got 5 against the Rockets.
The conventional big man wisdom in basketball, how the big men position are played have changed so much over the years. But one thing that hasn't changed is your number one priority above everything else is defensive rebounding. If you get an offensive rebound put back, that's awesome. That's a bonus. Any offensive rebounds are bonuses, but the defensive rebounds have to be there. They're literally how you
listen to this stat. The Rockets
not rebound.
The Rockets in the game against us had the most double chance points, so offensive rebounds, since 2016 of any team in a game. Like that's how many more offensive rebounds they had than we did. And then any team since 2016. Yes, that's how many second chance points they got. And in
a sport where you score at rates to where 40% is a pretty good rate as far as field goal percentages. If you're scoring at 40% and you get 2 or 3 more chances than the other team per possession, which is what happens when you are shit at rebounding the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Give the other team that many more opportunities. That's going to turn into a pretty big point differential there.
So is John Collins our number 3 option right now on the offense?
Well, that's the thing is he's really not though. We're not using him. He should be, but we're not using him that way.
If he's not the number 3 option and he can't rebound,
what's the point? Making that money?
So that's my thing. So the reason I said this, should we trade John Collins, is my thing is I think he's a great player and I think he could provide. I think he's playoff caliber for the right team, but it's not us, because Nate's philosophy is to not run the offense through John Collins, which I get. So like last night, John Collins had his best night in a while, 23 points, 14 rebounds, but we lose that game by 8 points. So like to all the John Collins stands out there, they always are upset when John Collins doesn't get much work, but we've won a lot of games where John Collins has been pretty non-existent, if we're going to be honest. Yeah. And we've lost some games where John Collins have his best games. So my thing is like, I get rooting for the guy and sticking up for him because there are a lot of haters as well. But it's obvious that Clint Capella is the more important of the two. Like Clint Capella is better on defense.
Oh, definitely.
Better at rebounds. And
I think part of defending John comes from, there's something sentimental there. I think, to me at least, I can feel it myself, which is that he's the dude that's been here
since the beginning of the rebuild.
Since the beginning of the rebuild. He's the guy we got before Trey. We got John and
he was a steal of a draft because
yes,
no one thought he was going to be as good as he is.
John had to be on a shit team that won 20 games by himself. Basically, he had to be on that team, and then we get Capella, and then we get Trey, and then the ball starts rolling. So he had to toil the most of anybody currently on the team to get to where we're at now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that probably has some built-in, just a want to defend him.
But listen to this though, in his last 10 games, he's only hit more than 10 rebounds twice. He's got 9 one time, and the rest of them are 4, 4, 3, 1, 3, 5, 6. Like, it's just not. And don't get me wrong. I know DeJounte Murray's taking away some rebounds. DeAndre Hunter's gotten a little bit better at rebounding. But overall, it's not like here's his shooting on the year. He's averaging 12.6 points a game, shooting 22% from the 3-point percentage.
Ooh.
Like, he's a career like 36, 37% from the three.
That's way below his average. He's normally pretty good at that.
7.5 rebounds. He's doing 1.3 blocks, which is pretty good for him. But still, like, he's not playing well offensively. I don't know if it's his finger. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he can't mesh with the offense, but I'd rather see us trade him for defense and 3-point shooting because, like, what's going to end up happening is we're going to lose him for nothing, or we're not going to be able to re-sign someone else like DeJounte Murray, who's more important for our success.
The problem is, to me, I agree. It's that the Hawks are doing it at a bad time. If they have to do it, they have to do it, whatever. But you are talking about a player he's been in this before. He got disgruntled a little bit with the trade rumors last year.
It's been 2 years of this.
It's been 2 years of this coming up every few months. You're right.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like we can't keep doing this. And I don't think it's any coincidence that his play has not been well. Like, he played well last night, like you said, but there was some noticeable difference in his play when the rumors started popping back up, I think.
For sure.
And so you're going to have to sell him low. And on top of that, I don't think you're going to be able to get back what am I trying to say? I guess what I'm trying to say is the team will
what
be
he's
worse.
worth. You're going to lose
what.
value on him no matter what.
Yes. The team will be worse off in the short term, no matter what happens if we get rid of John.
I agree.
And from a talent perspective too, because he's a talented player. You won't be getting as talented of a player in return, but you might find a piece that fits.
Right. But that's the thing is you can improve based off this trade. If you find someone that fits and that's the thing that kills me is some people are like, well, we're going to be giving up too much talent. It's like, there's such thing as giving up talent, but still getting better, like because of fit.
And I think we have the talent to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
We are talking about somebody who was the third or fourth option.
Yes.
No matter how talented he was. He's talented enough to be the number one option on certain teams.
100%.
And we had him as our 3 and 4.
And so
to that point, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I wonder if you want to bring in somebody that is like a center and power forward kind of mix. Somebody that can play both positions.
To me, you want to.
I think that sorry.
Well, I was going to say, to me, if you're giving up talent to get less talent back, but someone who's trying to fit, exactly what you guys said, you got to look at someone who doesn't do as many things as John Collins, but does the things he does not do.
Well,
which is exactly what Hayden just said. You got to find somebody who can rebound the basketball. You got to find somebody who basically not another Clint Capella.
Yeah, they don't want a center because they have Okongwu as well.
Yes, but you want somebody kind of like more like. I mean, that's why Jalen Johnson is a great fit, I think, because he's a lot like John Collins.
But he's better with the ball in his hands. He can do more things.
Exactly. So the fact that he would get more playing time if we move on from John would be great.
I think you want like a 3-4 combo, like a wing who can play defense and shoot the 3 ball. Like that's what you want right there. And play defense, shoot the 3 ball, and can get some rebounds. Because then you can give Okongwu some more minutes too. You can flex a lot of different things. We just have such a backup right there with Johnson, Okongwu, Capella, Collins. And just Collins' fit is just so weird with what we're trying to do. Don't get me wrong, we could get the right coach and maybe it'll all work out, but we just don't have that. And I don't see Nate McMillan going before the season's over. I don't see us firing him.
Yeah, unless things get really bad.
Yes, but I think John Collins will get moved at the trade deadline. It's going to be like a 3-team trade where a contender gets John Collins, we get another player from another team, and then we all send picks to each other. You know what I mean? Like I think it's going to be something like that.
Well, if you said there's like a backup at the position right now, like trying to get those guys some minutes,
really,
Could we just end up with like a draft pick or something like that?
No, they're going to get a player.
I think you just in the middle of a because of the fact that in the middle of a run that you're trying to make here with your championship window open now, I think for me personally, I'd be more comfortable certainly getting a pick back, but
that's what it's going to be. It's going to be
a bench player because you could get Jalen Johnson more minutes, but also I don't think he's good enough yet to where he can just assume all the minutes.
I think whoever it is will start right away, but there will be a downgrade over John Collins. But exactly, you'll give Jalen Johnson more minutes though,
right,
and it's going to be someone like we said, fits the mold what we're going for. I think it's someone like a Jay Crowder who's like good at rebounds, he can shoot the 3, plays defense really well, something like that.
What about and this guy's similar to Jay Crowder too? What about trying to get like Montrezl Harrell?
Yeah, which
somebody like that.
but he's even
I'm not sure
cheaper.
we
Like
would.
he's even cheaper than John
Yeah,
Collins.
he'd
So
be
like they would have to
cheaper.
give back some more. And like the problem is too is you have to match contracts with John Collins.
That's true.
So it's going to be a little difficult. The trade partner is going to have to be someone who's competing, kind of like the Suns, or it's going to be a team that's competing.
Right. That's kind of why Harold came into my mind because he's with the Sixers still, right?
I'm not sure. Actually,
I think he's with the Sixers, but I know that it's less. You're less likely to trade with.
Let's see. That he is with
fellow conference contender.
Yeah, he's with the Sixers. Okay. But like, yeah, I don't even know if we want him though. Like he's gone down a little bit. That's the thing is I don't know the perfect target for us. I think there's a couple players that could fit the mold, and I trust Schlenk to make the right decision. Like I'm not doubting Schlenk. I will say this though, if we don't turn this around this season, I either need to see Nate gone or I really need to see Trey take a step up in leadership. Like, because Trey's your best player, and like we got to count on him to be that leader. And like his skill set's different than Luka's. Like Luka can carry a game by himself, and Trey's gonna try to elevate everybody else. But like, why don't we get an offensive scheme then that fits that? Because it's been a very ISO heavy so far, which just means Trey ball handling, DeJounte ball handling. I don't know. It's been annoying to watch because I feel like the talent's there.
Right.
But yeah, that's all I got on the Hawks this week. I think JC Hater's got a point, but I also think JC Stans have a point. He's a good player. Why don't y'all just like can we all just agree he's a great player and that maybe he's not the best fit, and let's just move on?
All right, give me a prediction. Is he going to be on the team at the end of the season?
I'm going to say no.
Aaron? I'm also going to go with no.
I have no idea because I don't.
And I'm also going to predict that Nate McMillan will be our coach after the end of the season too.
Ooh.
Yeah, which sucks to say. I actually think we could be successful and he still won't be our coach because, like, I think there's a lot more left on the like, if you're watching the Hawks games right now, our team's better than what we are right now. It's obvious.
Definitely.
And that's not how it was last year. Last year I was like, damn, we suck. Like it felt like it was bad because I had such high hopes. This year I'm like, we're better than what we're doing right now, and it's frustrating.
Right. No, I totally agree. The feeling last year was like this slow sinking feeling of like, oh my God, we're just actually not that good. Yeah. and this year it's like, okay, we're clearly good. We just got to put it together more often.
Yeah, because we're beating good teams,
right?
But we're also losing against teams we should beat.
Hey, what were you gonna say?
Just he needs to start winning some games, or else
he really does.
Yeah,
he does.
I'm in danger.
Yes. There it is. Yes,
danger of losing that job at any moment.
He is.
Hey-o.
Definitely on the hot seat.
All right. Thanks again, everybody, for coming back on this Tuesday to listen to Blursed. We will be back once again next week. Special shout out to Oh No for our music. Shout out to our lady friends that help us out in every aspect of life. And thanks for listening. And that's it.
Bye, guys.
Deuces.